Morning to you. Chris, tell us about the white shark and why it's been away for so long.
Well, Jane, it's quite a complex issue. You know, we've seen a lot of changes along our coastline, and sadly to say, in the last 3 years, we've noticed probably the largest decline in shark numbers that we've ever seen. And I hate to say, but it's largely due to unregulated fishing of the white shark's primary prey source, which is actually smaller sharks. And we've seen these fishing industries developing along primarily the Cape South Coast. And essentially they're extracting the smaller sharks, which are such a vital food component for the great white. It's kind of like taking out all the impala out of the Kruger National Park, and you know, obviously the lions, leopards and cheetahs would need to move elsewhere. So we were very lucky just 2 days ago at Seal Island. The Apex crew did see a really magnificent 4-meter female great white shark. And I think the crew were even more excited than our guests. But you know, upwards of 100,000 people have been coming to South Africa every year to see these incredible sharks. And whilst most of the shark companies have been able to adapt to the absence of great whites by focusing on other species, obviously seeing a great white shark is a real highlight. And you know, from an ecological point of view, these animals play a vitally important component in the marine food chain.
I mean, I was so devastated when I heard that there were virtually no sharks at Seal Island, because that's what you associate with Seal Island. I mean, the fact that it's back, what does it suggest? How can we keep them there?
Well, you know, obviously the saying is, you know, one swallow doesn't make a summer, but it's a start. And we hope that it's an upward trend. I think the things to really focus on is trying to restore balance in our marine ecosystems, you know, stopping harmful fishing practices. The irony of the demersal shark longlining, a demersal shark longliner quite simply is a long line with hundreds of hooks on it that are set on the ocean floor to capture sharks such as smoothhound and soupfin sharks. These sharks are being exported to Australia for fish and chips. Oh. So our coastline has been degraded at an unprecedented rate. And you know, I think it's to focus on trying to change the mindset of people that are eating shark, and in many cases it's unbeknownst to them. So changing our food consumption patterns, and then really focusing on practices that are sustainable in South Africa. You know, the shark tourism industry is something that would have continued forever, and it was growing at a tremendous rate. It was giving South Africa huge exposure, creating a massive influx of jobs in local fishing communities. So really focus on industries that have got a long-term sustainability to them rather than short-term gain. And then, like I say, educating people about what they actually are eating. I think those two things could make massive changes to our coastline, and it needs to be done now. I cannot stress how in just the last 3 years we have seen incredible declines along our coastline.
All right, yeah, we'll certainly try help get that message out. And I know it's a big sea, so it really is hard to police as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I think there are a lot of people and a lot of scientists trying very hard to rectify issues and problems. But, you know, I think what really needs to take place is that senior management officials at the Department of Environmental Affairs, Forests and Fisheries really need to take note of what's happening. It's not just environmentalists that are seeing these changes. It's also local fishermen. It's also other diving communities. The changes are widespread, and managers at DEF really need to take heed of what's happening along our coastline, because if the future of our oceans, you know, is to be repaired and future generations are to benefit from them, big changes need to take place right now.
Chris Fallows, thanks for your good work.